It's noon here on Monday, July 18th from Ventnor, New Jersey and Bethesda, Maryland. This is news that you can use from YAA. That's noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. And it's your hosts, Ray and Zach, or Zach and Ray, or whoever the hell we are. How are you today, handsome?
That was an interesting one, Pops. I'm doing really good. Happy Monday to you. Excited to see you this coming weekend in person. Between now and then, Dad, we've got a
Yes.
damn good show today, and I think we'll have good shows this entire week. I want to preface, we are doing a really, you've got to be kidding me, probably in about 20 minutes. Be here for that. Like, if you leave now and come back, like, be here in 20 minutes. This really, you got to be kidding me, is probably one of the best ones we've had in a long time. Dad, I thought we'd kick this Monday off by reacting to an article that was published in Automotive News. How does that sound?
I like it. I like it a lot.
So a few weeks ago, back on June 29th, we published an article on our own website, joinyaa.com. The FTC is cracking down on shady car dealers. Essentially, what happened is on June 27th, the FTC sent out I guess like a memo of sorts, an announcement that they had proposed and passed 4-1 new rules that would now be going to public comment and through the whole
Yes.
rigmarole that the FTC has to become rules that are actually applied to car dealerships, Dad. These rules can be summarized into these pieces. FTC wants to ban dealers from selling products that don't have any benefit to customers. They want dealers to advertise the real price of a car online. They want non-discriminatory practices for cash buyers, and they want enhanced consent for finance and insurance products. Anything seem a little out of place here, Dad, or does this all make sense to you?
Makes a tremendous amount of sense to me, but apparently, honey, it doesn't make any sense at all to the dealers themselves. I believe you're about to refer to an article that speaks of opposition from the National Automobile Dealers Association.
The reason, if you watch this on YouTube, you saw this. The reason we have an extinct dinosaur skeleton on today's thumbnail image, the featured image, is because I think, Dad, this response from the NADA is dealers saying, we don't want to go extinct. We like the way things work. We're on record profits right now. We don't want to go extinct. And if you listen to the podcast afterwards, you should check out YouTube. Just search Ray and Zach on YouTube. NADA, Dad, challenges FTC dealer rules as unjustified and sloppy. The NADA challenged the Federal Trade Commission's proposed extensive rules on dealership advertising and F&I offices as unsupported, sloppy, and inconsistent. As you begin to read through the article, Dad, it becomes very clear that the National Automobile Dealers Association, which we have articles back on the Join YAA website that talk about how they have a $3 million a year lobbying budget, and also have donated each year tens of millions of dollars to Congress members. They like the way things work, and they are very nervous at the idea of these rules from the FTC actually being implemented.
Absolutely, and the could you go back up to the headline real quick?
Of course, son.
Yeah, just for me. Okay. NADA challenged the Federal Trade Commission's proposed extensive rules as being sloppy and inconsistent. What's sloppy and inconsistent is how dealers do business. That's exactly what is sloppy and inconsistent. Are there dealers out there that these rules wouldn't apply to because, well, they actually do things the right way? They actually advertise the real price of the vehicle. They actually go over the finance and insurance products with their customers. They try to educate their consumers. Yes, there are dealerships that do that. The problem is that there are a poop ton of dealerships that do not. That are sloppy and inconsistent in how they approach the process. There's a reason the Napleton Group paid a $10 million fine for taking advantage of Black and Hispanic people. Okay? There's a reason that the Napleton Group had to pay $10 million because I don't know, the price they advertised wasn't the price that somebody could actually buy the car for. And this is a major group in the automobile industry. This is not some little mom and pop operation. This is a group that produces over $1 billion a year in revenue. So, yes, for the dealers, the good dealers out there that do things right, this is absolutely unnecessary. For the shysters out there, for the dealers out there that don't want to do things right, that believe that it's a caveat emptor, that the buyer beware, this is exactly why the FTC should do what they're doing. And if I may, Zach, the 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 time frame for commenting on this proposal, it's a 60-day window. It started July 13th and it ends September 12th. And we need to beat that drum on a daily basis to get consumers all across this country to comment on these proposed rules, because it is time that somebody actually stands up and takes care of the people that are spending trillions of dollars that make this economy work when it does work.
Wow.
Sorry.
That was, let me just 1 second. I just popped in the chat, Pops. Thanks for mentioning it. It's on regulations.gov, and I'll pull it up on the screen here. And we'll include it in this week's newsletter back on joinyaa.com as well. Motor vehicle dealers trade regulation rule. You can actually come to this URL, and here is where you can leave public comment. And like you said, Dad, there's 56 days from today where public comments can be had about the proposed rules. Now let's pull it back up on the screen and let's read the FTC's counterpoints to the NADA's points, which were, hey, this is sloppy, this is unjustified, this is unnecessary. Automotive News did a good job summarizing these points, Dad. The National Automobile Dealers Association criticized as shaky the foundation for the Federal Trade Commission's new proposed dealership regulations among its counterpoints. The FTC said it received more than 100,000 auto-related complaints in 2021. NADA says there were 42 million new and used car sales last year. So NADA is making the case that, hey, that's a very small percentage of all the cars that are being sold.
Yeah, it is. It is a small percentage, because the vast majority of people that might have been taken advantage of don't even realize it yet, don't even know it yet. Okay, so if you don't know that you've been
freaking true, yeah.
If you don't know that you've been taken advantage of, why would you complain? I will cite a perfect example to you. When I was managing Acura North Scottsdale in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I had a customer come in and she said, well, I think I might have made a mistake. I said, why? She said, well, I was at your competitor and I believed I was buying the car for 60 months. And it turns out that what I signed for was a 60-month lease. A 60-month lease. Do you know how stupid that is? How unconscionable that is to do something like that to a consumer? She didn't realize when she signed what she was signing. So there's a lot of people that if they actually read their documents, and yes, part of this falls on the consumer to slow the process down enough to be able to understand what it is that they're being asked to sign. But there's so much pressure that is put on a customer in a dealership, and that they can be there for hours upon hours upon hours, and they get worn out and worn down, and they just sign things, and then it's after the fact that they find out that they were taken advantage of. If the FTC wants to know what's going on, if the NADA wants to know what's going on, just have them read the comments that we get on our YouTube channel about how people are taking advantage of day in and day out. Okay. Yes, the NADA doesn't want to do anything about it because this is how they line their pockets. They could still make a lot of money doing it the right way, the fair way, the honest way, but they choose not to. It is a business decision that the dealer principal has made. Do I want to take care of my customers and grow my business, or do I want to just sell every person one car and I'll never sell them a second one because of the way I treated them the first time I sold them a car? And there's too many dealers out there that are only interested in selling every person one car and not developing a customer base where they can sell a few people a lot of cars.
Whoa, did you feel that jolt of electricity?
Wow, you really got me on my soapbox today.
Yeah, I really did, Dad. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're spot on. I went to grab my phone immediately because my Instagram DMs, Dad, because I post on TikTok. You don't post on
Yes.
TikTok, I do. And on TikTok, I tell people, follow me on Instagram and send me direct message me your questions, your concerns. My DMs, the direct messages on Instagram are just full of people sending me deal worksheets and saying, oh, I didn't realize what I bought. Can I cancel these things? Like, how do I get this money back? Constantly. And yes, that's TikTok and Instagram skew younger in terms of the people reaching out to me. You hit the nail on the head. And you also hit the nail on the head. Consumers need to do a better job being prepared going into these situations. And that's why
Yes.
organizations like YAA exist. And there needs to be more organizations that are doing this. FTC, we can't rely just on them to hold people accountable. We obviously know that. Let's keep going, Dad.
Okay.
The FTC said motor vehicle roundtables in 2011 revealed consumer confusion with financing and people surprised not to get the advertised price. NADA said the FTC didn't take action then. That's another fair point. Why now is I think, a very fair question. Why is the FTC doing it now when we've known these things have been going on for decades?
Well, because maybe it's time. Maybe it's just time. Maybe it's time that the 5 people that get to decide on some of these rules and regulations and vote as to whether or not they should move forward, try and side with consumers one time, as opposed to always siding with those that have the most lobbying funds. Consumers as a group, they're a huge group, but they don't have anything that helps them coalesce together so that they can fight back. So it's individuals against these giant corporations that have multi-million-dollar lobbying budgets. Yeah. So if I talk to my congressperson and I can't give them nothing other than my a piece of my mind, or the lobby groups in there, and they'll invest a couple $100,000 in I don't know, donations to their campaign for reelection. Well, who do you think the politician's going to listen to? Me, or the person giving them some money, or the group that's giving them some money? That's what's unfair about all this. I mean, there's what, AARP that try and coalesce everybody together to take care of retired people. Well, what about the rest of of us? When I happen to be an AARP member, but what about the vast majority of Americans that don't have anybody out there trying to protect their interests? And hell, with the average cost of everything today, they couldn't afford to donate anything to a lobbying effort on their own behalf. It's really just sad.
Let me jump to the chat here for a second, Pops. We got Igor, who obviously, if you're not familiar, Igor's a fixture in our community. Thank you for being here, and was a dealer principal. You can be honest and follow all the laws and regulations and treat your customers with care as you should and still make money and stay profitable. I know this because I did this practice. And one, I advocate weekly for consumers with my dealer principles and explain to them you don't have to be shady to make more money and get more repeat customers. It is interesting. Tellen is here with us, Pops, and Tellen works at a dealership. A lot of operators wouldn't agree with Igor. I do, though. A lot of them look at other dealers to see what they're getting away with and meet or beat their tactics and add more profit. And this, I to summarize, we know a lot of people in the industry, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, just from having our platform. And I'm thinking of our friends H. Greg, Dad. I remember talking to H. Greg because when we first launched YAA dealer reviews, we had someone leave a terrible review for one of H. Greg's dealerships in Florida. And so I reached out to the CEO of H. Greg and I said, hey, you might want to check this out and maybe make it right with this customer.
Yes.
Just putting it on your radar. And what the customer had complained about was all the BS fees that were added to the car deal that weren't advertised. And I remember getting the reply from the CEO of H. Greg, and he said, all of our stores in every single state and Canada don't do BS fees, except for in Florida, because everyone does BS fees, so we have to too. And I just remember thinking to myself, that in its own right is BS, but it's also like the only way I guess you compete in Florida is if you do what everyone else is doing. That's such a messed up model.
But it's not so. Look at Earl Stewart. Who owns Earl Stewart Toyota. And it's been a dealer for, I don't know, 40, 50 years. And Earl does it the right way. Okay. He's not interested in all the BS fees. He calls out the other dealers for doing it. He has written letters to the attorney general and to the governor of Florida saying it's time to stand up and protect the consumers from what dealers are getting away with. Okay. And he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. I mean, the way he runs his dealership, you don't pay over MSRP for a vehicle with his dealer. He doesn't believe in that. And I don't know, he's been pretty successful over his lifetime. You can make a very, very nice living treating customers the right way. It's doable. I did it in the dealerships that I worked in. Just because you're a car dealer doesn't mean you have to lie, cheat, and steal to make a deal. If you have to lie, cheat, and steal to make a deal, get out of the business or learn a better way to do it. It's
We've
not that hard.
We've got in the chat here, Dad, from Glenn, the paperwork. Just like in banking, I found most employees have zero training on the full documents, and certainly the clients do not read or misled by employees who do not know or care. I think that's another great point. Honestly, part of the responsibility of that salesperson is to walk and steward someone through, or the F&I manager walk
Yes.
and steward someone through. And we put a lot of trust as a consumer. We put a lot of trust in that person. How well has that person been trained? Do they understand compliance? Were they a Miss Kimberly Klein who loves compliance, or were they someone who
Yes.
got hired a couple weeks ago who just wants to make as much money as possible? So there's many fingers. You can point your fingers in many different directions. Pops here from Shay.
Yes.
Another fixture of the YAA community. Shay, it's good to see you. Hi, guys. Thanks for your help. I finally bought out my lease and did it successfully because of you. That's fantastic to hear. A little good news in
Yes.
today's show.
Yes.
Let's jump back, Dad, to what we've got here in the Auto News article. And then we're going to just jump into today's really, you got to be kidding me.
Okay.
The next bullet point, the FTC said a 2017 qualitative study showed consumers felt confused about vehicle price, rushed through the final documents, and surprised about add-on charges. NADA said that the introduction to an FTC report on that research states, quote, the data generated are not useful for forming quantitative or generalizable conclusions. So essentially, NADA is saying, we don't care about what the 2017 research said. We don't agree with it. The FTC said more than 50 FTC enforcement actions and 246 actions involving other law enforcement agencies justify the rule changes. NADA said just 3 of the FTC actions involved voluntary protection products, despite them being a major focus of the agency's new proposal, and 16 weren't against dealerships. As for the actions involving other law enforcement agencies, a whole slew of those weren't against dealers either, the NADA said. So the FTC is trying to make the case, hey, we've got a lot of enforcements and we think there's even more if we expanded our rules just a little bit. The NADA is saying, no, these weren't actually about, F&I products and things like that. And we know, Dad, we know they are.
Can I say something about the NADA? What they
Yeah,
should
please.
have done. What they should have done is they should have looked at these proposals and they should have said, we endorse this. We think it's time that we clean up the bad people in our industry. We admit that there are some bad actors in the retail automotive space, and it's time that we as the largest dealer group out there for representing dealers say, yes, let's do this, let's make it better, let's make it easier, let's explain everything that's happening, let's have rules and regulations that cover how we can advertise, what we should advertise, that the price that we advertise has to be the price the customer can pay for the car. And that's the big mistake that the NADA is making. This was an opportunity for them to embrace this and say, yeah, we recognize that there's been a lot of shenanigans that have happened over the last 120 years, and we want to see positive change on behalf of the consumer so this type of nonsense doesn't continue moving forward. But they chose to just support the status quo, and that is 100% wrong.
Let's look at the final note here, Dad, because I think I can add a little extra emphasis to this one.
Okay.
The FTC said consumers will save 3 hours per transaction, which works out to a $30 billion plus $30 billion plus benefit to society over a decade. NADA said the FTC never explains how it came up with that 3-hour figure. Pops, let me ask you, and let's ask everyone that's with us here. Do you think that there are opportunities to make buying a car, just buying, a more efficient process? What do you think, Dad?
Absolutely. It's so antiquated, it's scary.
Okay, and in the chat, just reply back, yes, it can be more efficient, or no, I think it's as efficient as it can possibly be. It's no secret. We raised venture capital. We have investors, all that fun stuff. What do you think part of the pitch deck for that, Dad, was? It was the same thing the FTC just, had on the screen. It was, okay, there's a lot of time that can go back to humanity if we actually just make this process smoother, better
Yes.
for everyone.
Yes.
Like there's a huge benefit to humanity if we actually break down what I call the information asymmetry and all the inefficiencies that exist here. And unfortunately, I don't think I know we're not in a position where we can, create laws to make dealerships operate in a certain way. The thing that we can do is we can just empower people to go through the process more quickly and more efficiently. And I think that actually extends beyond just buying, Dad. It's the whole thing: financing, insurance, etc.
It is the whole thing, and one of our hopes is that through doing what we do, we can educate dealer principals enough to say, you know what, it is time to move forward. It is time to make those type of changes that really honor the customer's time. Okay, most dealerships that I have worked in, we always felt that we knew what the customers wanted and what was best for them without, I don't know, ever really talking to the customers to say, how would you like to see this process flow? And customers have spoken. There's forums everywhere. There's our community forum. There's the comment section on our YouTube channels. There are forums all over the place that dealers could read if they wanted to, where customers are begging them to change their sales practices, literally begging them to make changes, and yet they choose not to because they think they know better, or they just want the short-term gain that they're about to realize, as opposed to looking at this as a long-term sustainable business opportunity. And it's just time. It's time it's done right.
Pops, again, it is regulations.gov. Here, we're going to walk through it together. Regulations.gov. Actually, just go to, wait, how did I get here?
I'm not
dealer,
sure.
And then search dealer. Dockets, comments. Damn it, I literally just got here. FTC, we're going to do it together. Dealer rules, comments. We're doing this together.
Okay.
FTC. Damn it, I don't know how I got to that link. I clicked, though, however, on some of the comments. And here's one submitted from Tomlinson Motor Company. I'm an independent auto dealer in Gainesville, Florida. I've been in the car business my entire adult life, and my wife and I have owned and operate our current dealership for 25 years. Our dealership is a family-run mom and pop. We sell very nice late model vehicles. We have a service department, and we enjoy a great reputation in our community. I read about your proposal, P204800, and I would strongly support the regulations you are considering. Beautiful.
There's somebody.
We had a comment
there's
submitted.
A dealer that gets it.
Comment submitted by Anthony Kaiser. Dealers shouldn't be able to deceive customers, misrepresent their products' prices, offer something they can't sell. We need everyone. And again, let me copy the link again. This is the URL right here, and then click on comment or view the comments. Feel free also, everyone. Please, please, please feel free to toss in there. Ray and Zach sent me. And when you send the comment, say Ray and Zach sent me. There's nothing wrong with that. We need more people to become aware of the movement that we're all creating. Just popped it back in the chat again, please. Seriously, and Pops, you and I obviously need to leave comments. We've been heading up an effort to change these practices for years now. We obviously need to take some time and put a thoughtful comment out there. Let's tie this in, Dad, with a fun end to today's show. How's that sound?
Well, it sounds good to me. I could use some levity. Really? You gotta be kidding me.
All right, Dad, I posted this on Twitter. Again, I mentioned earlier, I get a lot of Instagram DMs. This was sent in from a community member asking me, hey, is this a deal that I should take?
Yes.
I posted this on Twitter, Dad. It says, okay, car people of Twitter, I've seen a lot. I see a lot of strange line items on dealer worksheets. Someone explained to me what the quote LA car guy is for $795. This is for a Toyota Camry, Dad, a new Toyota Camry. We do
Wow.
not have the MSRP as a line item. We have market value selling price. Then we have a very generous $5,500 discount. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a big discount in today's market for a Toyota Camry.
Uh,
Then we have the
that
adjusted price of 20.
yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Go ahead.
that discount is pure BS, but that's
We've
besides
got,
the point.
let me go through. That takes
Yeah.
us to an adjusted price of $23,895. There's DPR, which I think is, I don't know what it is, honestly. I have no clue
Who
what
the hell
DPR is, but
knows?
it's $495. We have LA Car Guy for $795, cheap date, and we have
Yeah.
markup of $5,000. So we had our $5,500 discount counteracted by our $5,000 markup. And you can't get this KARR security 3-year contract off. That's another $595. This is one of the craziest dealer worksheets I have ever seen in my life, Dad.
It is, and I suggested that I thought maybe the LA car guy thing for $795 was you actually get a date with an LA car guy, and I also suggested to you that I believe in Encino, California, the Encino car guy charges only $500, so perhaps you might want to consider going to Encino. I will tell you
Yeah.
that before I met your mother, and
Huh.
after I was divorced from my first wife, that at our dealership, we ran a promo where it was buy a car, you get a date with the general manager. Okay. And well, our sales flopped. I mean, went straight into the toilet because I was no bargain at any price. Okay. An LA car guy for $795, that would be enough to turn me off from that dealer. I mean, I would have looked at that and I would have said, really? Really? And just gotten up and walked the hell out. I mean, I have seen some crazy stuff in my time in the business. But perhaps that ranks right up there with the Florida friends and family charge of whatever that was, $1,995. I mean, what is nonsense like that?
I don't have any family in Central Florida. I'm not looking for any family in Central Florida.
True.
Pops, truly ridiculous. Again, posted it on Twitter. Let's have that go a little bit viral and call that dealership out. We've got Dad here from Webb. Only 8
Yeah.
comments so far. Come on, YA community, put in your 2 cents like Zach and Ray said. Yeah, we'll activate against us. We've got 56 days to leave comments. We'll
Yes.
probably pull it up every single day and reference
I
how many
think
new
we should.
comments there are.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put it in the newsletter article this week. We'll post it on the YA community forum. I'll make TikToks about it. We'll have to go through the whole thing. And yes, Jane Agamy, you are correct. It is a $23,000 Camry for $33,999. It's really a tricky time to be out there. This is why, NADA wants to know, why is FTC pushing regulations now? Because what's the saying, Dad? Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Yes. That's why.
You can only take advantage of people for so long before they push back.
And it's time. It's just time. It's time for dealer principals just to say, you know what? Let's just do it. We can make a really nice living doing it the right way. They really can, and it'll make everybody's life easier. Theirs, the customers.
Let's answer 2 questions quickly in the chat, Pops, and call it a day. EJ says, isn't it a great time to buy out a lease and you have to finance with the dealer to buy it out if you don't have cash? And do you have to? Share some 2 cents there.
It is a great time to buy out your lease. And no, you don't have to finance it through the dealer. My friend Lee just bought out his lease car and he financed it through his credit union. You just have to be able to pay for it, whether you use financing that's been put together for you by the dealership or financing that you found on your own.
And that answers Ryan's question here. I have a 2019 Ram 1500 lease, ending in my best to buy out my lease. 100% you are. Pops, one of the things I shared with you last week, and I shared with parts of the YA team, we're working on, I'm exploring, trying to identify and find a credit union or credit unions that we could partner with to do loan origination and, quite frankly, refinance online with those credit unions. So hopefully, I don't know, a year from now, 6 months from now, sooner rather than later, obviously, we want to be able to provide you with directly connecting you to credit unions to become a member, to get whatever their loans are. So when you're buying out your lease, you don't have to go through the dealership for that because Pops, obviously, that's a big powerhouse.
Think of it this way. Maybe, perhaps, if you become a member of YAA, it automatically gets you a membership at whatever credit union it is that we can partner with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're reading my mind.
No, good. Well, I helped make your mind. Sorry about that.
Oh, Mike, I actually need to talk to you. Mike runs a credit union. I'll probably reach out to you via email sooner rather than later, like this week, as I'm exploring this, because it's a really cool opportunity to partner with credit unions to be able to bring that to market. Pops, let's call it a show.
Okay.
Let's come back tomorrow. We're going to have a used car market update tomorrow. Okay. So stay tuned for that. I'm very curious to see what the Black Book data shares with us. And obviously, we didn't touch on it today. We got so down the track of what's going on with dealerships. We also need to talk about the chip shortage update and things happening there. So stay tuned. Come back. Join us tomorrow. What time, Pops?
Well, come back and join us tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific for more news that you can use with YAA.
Thank you, Pops. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
See you, everybody. Have a great day.